TimRollins and K.O.S, it means that they're going to be seen by more and more people from countries where they haven't had exhibitions, you know, South America, Eastern Europe, so forth. And many people who've seen their work in reproduction can now see at least a few pieces in the flesh.
Being thrown in a large show like Aperto, which is great because you have a very great international audience, but it was separated too much. The reality, the working method, the reality, the community, the connections were severed, and it looked like just another group of artworks by just another artist, and happens to be this guy with this funny, you know, suffix on the end of his name, and K.O.S, which there's no real distinct description of what that was all about.
The work is designed so you ask questions. What is K.O.S? What does Kids of Survival mean? Why do each of the paintings look like they're done in a different style, yet they all look like they were done by one hand? And I must be present to talk about this because as I teach the kids, if you don't represent yourself, someone will do it for you, and usually badly.
Have you noticed anything in this Biennale that seemed to require correction or straightening out of any kind?
Not so far. It's been, it's interesting. We're given the same sort of space that all the other artists are given, and it's my job to fill in the background.
How does somebody like Tim, whose work we presume to be oppositional or a little bit skeptical of the art system, fit into so neatly into this big arena of packaging and promotion and sales? And I would say quite justifiably that, you know, nowadays with the art world the way it is, and also the other media, one has to play the visibility game, and you have to be in the marketplace to really even be rated.
One thing that is becoming evident is that with the recognition of the work, there's a market demand, and it's very tempting to just start creating work for that market demand. I mean, you can go on, you can make a lot of money, but the kids and I had a long meeting about it the other day, and we thought, we want to get off the treadmill. Because that's how we got to that. I don't know if it's because of the political climate in the United States or the kind of negative transformations that are beginning to happen in our own neighborhood and our daily lives on Longwood Avenue, but the new work is more about mutation and rejection and entrapment. For example, The Temptation of St. Anthony. And St. Anthony is this disgustingly good person. Lucifer sees him from a distance and says, what a perfect victim, what a sucker, I'm gonna go after this person. And so in comes the onslaught of demons. At the end, he survives the whole thing, but you really get the idea that the demons didn't come from without, they came from within. And so the kids and I started making monsters. We had wanted to discover why the horrific was just so beautiful to us. And at first I made the first stains. And then I said, what do you see in this? What do you see in these things? And the kids would start rendering them up, and they became the strangest kind of like, they looked like cells, they looked like mutated sexual organs, they looked like, I mean, all this stuff from the back of here started coming out onto the page. Lots of times the kids speak of the little monsters that we created, and they position themselves as, you can't help it, position yourself as St. Anthony and all the stuff that's happening in the streets. I mean, the fact that if you wanted to, very easily quit school and make $200, $300 a day at the age of 13 or 14 selling crack. It's created a situation in which anything goes, particularly among young people, and we're absolutely besieged psychologically and physically. In the last 4 or 5 months, I've received 2 written death threats. Guns have been flashed in the kids' faces. Kids have been jumped. Richie's been attacked. Little Nelson's been attacked. Their parents have been threatened. The studio's starting to get, robbed, just taking things. A lot of psychological torment and terrorism is going on up there. Okay, you're drawing too much, but it's all right. See, these gangs think that the neighborhood is theirs. They see it as, in a way, their home, their living room. And just our very presence, even though we're very quiet and not ostentatious, and in a way, I've always said the best way we can serve the communities is ironically by being invisible. I don't know if we can hold out much longer, and so we have to face the fact that we are being shoved from our home, which is that beautiful little gym that we've created the whole K.O.S. project in, which means we've lost the battle, I think, but we won't lose the war. But it's tragic that we're being forced out.
Tim Rollins and K.O.S. have now moved to the relative calm of the temporary studio in Chelsea on Manhattan Island while they look for a more permanent home in the Bronx.